The NRA is being targeted by a new lawsuit that asserts that they have been breaking federal campaign finance laws and supporting Republican candidates, including former President Donald Trump, to the tune of $35 million in illegal campaign contributions and coordination. This is coming from the gun control group Giffords that filed lawsuits against the NRA earlier this week, alleging that they contributed tens of millions of dollars to candidates both at the presidential level as well as in the Senate. And what they say happened is that they evaded federal regulations by using shell entities to coordinate advertising with 7 candidates running for federal office during the 2014, 2016, and 2018 election cycles. Obviously, they had huge financial problems over the past couple of years. Maybe they didn't have the money to actually do any of this. But previously, they're saying that they did. One of those candidates was Donald Trump. Giffords accused the NRA of illegally contributing up to $25 million to Trump's first White House run. Other politicians named as having received these funds over the years include Tom Tillis, Tom Cotton, Cory Gardner, Ron Johnson, Josh Hawley, I think that's supposed to be, and Matt Rosendale. So a bunch of the names that you'd expect. And the way that they did that was they had this organization that would work with the NRA and with candidates, and effectively it changed its name based on who it happened to be working with at a particular moment. So it was known as either On Message or Starboard. It was On Message when it acted on behalf of candidates, and Starboard when it acted on behalf of the NRA. But regardless of which name it had the same leadership. It was located at the same address. There was no internal separation or firewall between employees who work at the two entities. And according to the complaint, a number of employees at the consulting firms alternated between the two in time before the 2016 election. You are allowed to do basically anything when it comes to campaign finance, except blatant coordination with the campaigns. And you're honestly allowed to do quite a bit of that. They wanted to do $25 million worth of it. And honestly, this is America, JR, so they're probably gonna get away with it. But this is about as blatant coordination as we've seen since the old McConnelling fad. So we'll see if they end up getting in trouble. I'm glad that Giffords is pushing for this.
It's so crazy you said that, because I was like, we'll see. We'll see if something happens as far as responsibility of this, because every election cycle we see where the actual election fraud, where campaign finance fraud happens, where candidates take money, or then even people, as they talk about voter fraud, as voters, and as they push for voters to do illegal things, we consistently see the direction that these things are coming from. But what changes about it? What actually happens differently? NRA had its issues with money and everything, but when are their issues coming for their actual blatant disregard for the law, and where they're pushing millions, tens of millions of dollars to certain candidates for what? This is the NRA. So the NRA is supposed to be protecting your Second Amendment rights, because that's the most important thing in America. We got to kill each other as fast as possible. Now, if their illegal approach to making sure certain candidates come in to help them push that narrative and continue to convince Americans that they have to shoot each other in the face immediately, then I think that it's kind of an indictment about how bad their messaging really is and really who they're about.
Yeah.
This is protecting gun rights. This is illegal campaign contributions. It's protecting gun rights. So if you affiliate yourself with them, you're part of this illegal grouping that's trying to change things in America in a bad way. If you flip it, and some leftist group is doing this whole situation where they're pushing all this money to candidates illegally, the outcry, they hate America. Where's the hatred for America being lapped onto the NRA when they do things like this? It just doesn't come.
Yeah, and by the way, this is very similar to what we were talking about earlier. Like, why is the NRA gonna spend $25 million to get Trump in? What agenda are they pushing? Just nothing, just be there and stop things from happening. Just sit, be a rock between us and any common sense regulations, no matter how popular. It doesn't matter if it's 90%, 99% popularity for certain regulations. We just want you to stop it from happening. So we'll see. Again, campaign finance laws in the US are like effectively non-existent. They're probably gonna be just fine. The NRA they couldn't really use that much more financial strain after some of the problems they've had, but we'll see what happens.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.